Have you ever wondered if you might be doing things that quietly drive people away, but no one dares to tell you? As we age, we naturally settle into habits, some comforting and wise, others not so much. Some behaviors can turn into blind spots. You may believe you're simply being yourself, but the reality is, those around you notice. They usually won't mention it, but these habits can subtly influence how family, friends, and even strangers perceive you. In this video, we'll explore 12 subtle behaviors you might develop in old age that others notice but rarely discuss. And when I say ugly, I don't mean appearances. I'm referring to the behaviors that slowly erode dignity, distance you from others, and chip away at the grace and respect you've built over a lifetime. Each sign we'll cover is intended to encourage gentle reflection, not harsh judgment. It's about asking yourself, is this still serving me, or is it creating distance? The good news? Most of these habits are entirely reversible. Awareness is the first step. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these behaviors, but also learn how to carry yourself with greater confidence, clarity, and grace in your later years. Stick around until the end. You might find that a few small adjustments could make a big difference in how others relate to you and how you feel about yourself. Let's dive in. Number 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. One of the first things people quietly notice, but seldom bring up, is a decline in personal hygiene. And I'm not talking about severe neglect. It's often the little details. Wearing the same clothes several days in a row, unbrushed hair, overgrown nails, or a faint lingering odor after you leave a room. These small things speak loudly. Hygiene isn't just about cleanliness. It's about how we present ourselves. In younger years, we maintain routines effortlessly. But as energy levels drop with age, some may wonder, why bother? This shift, though subtle, doesn't go unnoticed. Younger family members, in particular, may feel unsure about how to address it without hurting your feelings. Rather than saying something, they often adjust quietly, sitting further away, shortening visits, avoiding hugs. It's not really you they're pulling away from. It's the unspoken message poor self-care sends, that you may have started to give up on yourself a little. And the hard truth is, when you stop caring for yourself, others may unconsciously treat you with less warmth and respect. This doesn't mean you need to dress like a model or wear perfume daily. Small efforts, like a fresh shirt, clean hair, and trimmed nails, can speak volumes. They silently say, I'm still here. I still care about myself. And about you. People respond to your energy even before they hear your words. Personal care reflects that energy more clearly than you might realize. Taking care of yourself invites others to treat you with kindness, closeness, and dignity. And that's a message worth sending. Number 2. Speaking without a filter. As we grow older, something curious can happen. The inner voice that once whispered, "Maybe don't say that out loud," starts to fade. You might find yourself speaking more freely, feeling entitled to say whatever you think. After all, you've earned that right, haven't you? While it may feel liberating, others often feel uncomfortable. There's a delicate balance between honesty and bluntness. If people around you start shifting in their seats, avoiding eye contact, or hesitating before speaking, it might be a sign that your honesty is landing a bit too harshly. Perhaps you've commented on someone's appearance, relationship choices, or parenting methods, brushing it off with, "I'm just being honest," or, "Back in my day, people weren't so sensitive." The truth is, honesty without compassion often feels like criticism. And people rarely tell you they're hurt. They simply start pulling back. They still love you, but they protect themselves from the sting of careless remarks. This doesn't mean you must censor yourself or walk on eggshells, but it does mean taking a moment to ask, is what I'm about to say helpful? Is it kind? Sometimes, what feels like sharing wisdom is actually venting frustration, and it hits harder than intended. A helpful guideline. If you wouldn't want someone saying it to your grandchild, maybe reconsider saying it to someone else's. The beauty of aging is the wisdom we gain. When shared with kindness, people listen more deeply. But when it comes wrapped in sarcasm or judgment, they tune out. No matter how good your intentions are, use your words to strengthen connections, not create distance. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content for you. Number 3. Wearing clothes that no longer fit. There's comfort in routine. Eating the same breakfast, walking familiar paths, wearing clothes you've owned for years. And there's nothing wrong with consistency. But when it comes to clothing, what once felt timeless can slowly start to seem careless. You may not notice it, but others do. Pants that sag, shirts that cling too tightly, shoes long past their prime, or styles from decades ago. All these things quietly signal that you may no longer be paying attention to your present self. It's not about following trends or dressing like someone half your age. It's about showing that you still see yourself as worthy of care and presence. When people see an older adult in clothes that fit well and reflect a sense of self-respect, they feel admiration, not because of fashion, but because it shows dignity and engagement with life. Think about it. You wouldn't wear the same suit to a job interview today that you wore 25 years ago. Everyday life deserves the same awareness. Our bodies change, our coloring shifts, and our energy evolves. Dressing to reflect who you are now, not who you were, demonstrates emotional presence. Some people say, "I don't care what others think. I'm comfortable." And that's fair. But being comfortable doesn't mean being dismissive. You can be both comfortable and polished. Even simple updates, a better fitting pair of jeans, a shirt that flatters your natural tones, can subtly change how others interact with you. They may not comment directly, but they notice. They smile more, treat you with a little more respect, because whether we like it or not, first impressions still matter. At every age. Number 4. Interrupting or dominating conversations. Everyone wants to be heard, especially later in life when we have rich experiences to share. But sometimes, in our eagerness to contribute, we forget to leave room for others. It can happen subtly. Someone brings up a topic you know well. You jump in, sharing advice, telling a story, offering solutions. Before you realize it, 10 minutes have passed, and no one else has spoken. The tricky thing is, this habit usually comes from a good place. It stems from a genuine desire to help, to share what you've learned. When we dominate conversations, even with good intentions, we can accidentally silence those we care about most. They likely won't tell you outright. Instead, they'll start drifting away. They'll call less often, keep talks brief, and you'll feel the growing distance without fully understanding why. People want to feel seen and heard, not lectured. When conversations start feeling one-sided, relationships quietly erode, especially with younger adults or grandchildren who may already feel unsure about connecting across generations. It's not about speaking less, it's about listening more. Let the conversation breathe. Ask more questions than you answer, and resist the urge to offer advice unless it's requested. One of the most meaningful things an older person can do is hold back just enough to allow others to express themselves. It's not because your insights aren't valuable, but because they need to feel that what they say matters too. Ironically, the less you dominate discussions, the more others seek your opinions. The more you listen, the more they trust you. You become someone they want to talk to, rather than someone they feel they have to brace themselves for. Next time you're chatting, whether one-on-one or in a group, ask yourself, are you truly listening or just waiting for your turn to speak? That small shift in awareness can transform relationships. When people feel heard, they open up. They draw closer. They actually look forward to the next conversation instead of dreading it. Number 5. Complaining about kids these days. It often starts harmlessly. You spot a teenager glued to a phone and think, back in my day, we talked face to face. You hear someone in their 30s make a choice you wouldn't, and think they're out of touch with reality. Before long, these thoughts sneak into conversations with friends, family, even strangers. You might not realize it, but constant criticism of younger generations sends a strong, often hurtful message. It suggests you're not interested in understanding them, that you're stuck in a time that no longer exists. The uncomfortable reality? Every generation believes the next one is missing something. That's nothing new. But when criticism becomes your default, it doesn't make you seem wise. It makes you seem bitter. You might mean it jokingly or think you're simply stating facts, but to younger people, especially under 50, it often feels like rejection. It feels like their entire world, values, and choices are being dismissed. The result? They stop sharing. Conversations stay surface level. They avoid deeper topics, wary of judgment, even if they love you. Now, this doesn't mean you must agree with everything they do. It doesn't mean embracing every new trend. But it does mean choosing curiosity over criticism. Asking instead of assuming. When you move from saying, "These kids have it easy," to asking, "What's it like finding your way today?" You create connection instead of division. Your true value doesn't lie in comparing eras. It lies in building bridges between them. Being the steady hand that reaches across generations, not the voice that clings to the past. And here's the truth. When younger people feel respected by you, they listen more. They seek your advice. They come to you, not out of obligation, but because they want to. You become the elder they admire, trust, and turn to. Not for lectures, but for thoughtful wisdom that listens first, speaks second. That's real influence. And it starts by letting go of the need to be right about the past and focusing on who you can still be today. If you're still watching and found these insights helpful, please comment number 5 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell icon, so you don't miss any of our future videos. Your support helps us continue creating content to inform and inspire. Now, let's move on to number 6, ignoring modern etiquette. Social awareness often goes unnoticed until it's missing. Things like speaking loudly on your phone in public, standing too close in line, or playing videos without headphones in a waiting room. These seem minor, but they leave strong impressions. Decades ago, such behavior might not have raised eyebrows. People were more tolerant of loud conversations or spontaneous actions. But times change. Expectations shift. What once seemed harmless now makes others quietly uncomfortable. And here's the tricky part. You might not even realize you're doing it. Most people won't confront you. They'll avoid eye contact, move away, or give you a quick look. It's not personal, but it's real. Whether on public transport, in a coffee shop, or just walking through a store, these small breaches of modern courtesy send a message. One you don't intend to send. They say, "I'm unaware of how I affect others." And the truth is, people often expect older adults to know better. When they see these behaviors, they're less likely to excuse them as innocent mistakes and more likely to see them as indifference. That's not the impression you want to leave behind. Fortunately, it's easy to fix. Start noticing how people around you behave in public. Watch how they manage their volume, respect personal space, and use devices around others. Modern etiquette isn't about being stiff. It's about being considerate. It shows you're still aware, still engaged, and still mindful of how you impact those around you. That awareness builds respect. It tells others, I may be older, but I still pay attention. I still adapt. I still care about how others feel. And this doesn't just change how strangers react to you. It affects how your family sees you too. Grandchildren notice. Neighbors notice. Their quiet respect for you grows, because in a world that's always rushing, someone who moves thoughtfully and carries themselves with quiet dignity stands out more than ever. Number 7. Oversharing medical problems. We've all heard the joke. Get a group of older folks together, and soon it becomes a contest over who has the worst knee, the highest blood pressure, or the longest lineup of medications. While it might seem harmless or even a way to bond, constantly bringing up health issues can quietly drain the energy of those around you. The reality is, everyone knows aging brings physical challenges. There's no need to pretend everything's perfect. But when conversations keep circling back to aches, doctor visits, or upcoming surgeries, it can make others feel like they're sitting in a waiting room rather than sharing a relationship. Younger family members, in particular, can find these conversations overwhelming. They often don't know how to respond, or they feel helpless hearing about problems they can't solve. So rather than leaning in, they slowly step back, not out of disrespect, but out of quiet fatigue. You absolutely deserve empathy and understanding, but when health issues dominate the way you connect, it shifts relationships from connection to caretaking, from conversation to complaint. Think about the people you enjoy spending time with. Chances are, they're not the ones who recount every ache and medication. They're the ones who acknowledge challenges without letting them define every moment. This doesn't mean you should hide your struggles. Not at all. It simply means choosing your timing, your audience, and maintaining balance. Share how you're doing, of course, but also ask about others. Talk about the book you're reading, the garden blooming next door, or the bird you spotted outside your window. Your life holds so many stories beyond medical charts, and people want to connect with you, not just your symptoms. You might be amazed at how much lighter your relationships feel when health isn't the leading topic. When you focus on what you enjoy, what you can still do, and what brings you a smile, you don't just lift your own spirit. You lift others too. In a world that already feels heavy, being someone who brightens a room, even a little, is a kind of medicine all on its own. Number 8. Being stubborn about outdated beliefs. One of the hardest things to recognize as we get older is when our beliefs start turning into barriers instead of bridges. We cling to ideas that once served us well, principles that guided how we raised families, built careers, and made sense of life. But over time, if we're not mindful, those beliefs can harden into absolutes that no longer reflect today's world. You might catch yourself saying things like, "That's just how it is," or "People are too sensitive these days," or "I don't care what the science says. I know what's right." While you might feel confident in your views, others often hear something different: resistance. The truth is, the world has changed, and it's still changing. Technology, culture, gender roles, mental health awareness, communication styles, it's all evolving rapidly. When we dig in and refuse to even consider new perspectives, it doesn't come across as wisdom. It comes across as unwillingness. Younger generations notice. They usually won't argue, but inside, they quietly label you as someone they can't fully open up to. Someone who doesn't understand, or doesn't want to, and that's a real loss. Whether it's a grandchild questioning traditional career paths, or a neighbor living in a way you don't fully grasp, there's real opportunity for connection when curiosity replaces judgment. Staying open doesn't mean abandoning your core values. It means updating your understanding while staying true to yourself. It means making room for new ideas, even if you don't agree with all of them. Often, stubbornness hides fear. Fear of losing relevance, fear of being left behind, fear that letting go of old beliefs means losing part of yourself. But real relevance doesn't come from clinging to the past. It comes from bravely meeting the present. When you say, "I never thought of it that way," or ask, "Tell me more about that," you open doors and people step through. They feel safe with you. And sometimes, you might even change your mind. Sometimes, the younger person you listen to will be right in ways you hadn't imagined. That humility, that willingness to keep learning, is what earns true respect. Not because you had all the answers, but because you stayed a student of life. Even in old age, that's rare, and it's powerful. If you're still with me and finding these insights meaningful, please comment number 8 below to let me know. And if you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Now, let's move on. Number 9. Walking or moving without awareness of space. As we get older, our pace naturally slows. We might feel less steady or need to move more cautiously, and that's completely normal. But often without realizing it, we also become less aware of how our movements affect those around us. You've probably seen it. Someone standing in the middle of a grocery aisle, cart sideways, blocking the way while reading a label. Or someone stopping suddenly in a busy hallway. Or drifting into oncoming foot traffic while walking with a friend. Most of the time, these moments aren't intentional. You're simply focused on what you're doing. But for those around you, especially people in a hurry, they create small points of friction, making the day just a little harder. And here's the important part. People rarely say anything. They sigh, step around you, maybe shoot a quick glance and move on. But over time, these small frustrations add up in how they perceive you. You might become the person who's always in the way, or someone others avoid sharing crowded spaces with. Not because they dislike you, but because they feel like they have to manage you. It's important to be clear. Slowing down isn't the issue. Awareness is. You can move carefully and still be respectful of space. You can pause to read something while keeping to one side. You can walk mindfully without blocking the flow of traffic. This matters even more in busy environments. Airports, sidewalks, malls, churches. Shared spaces depend on mutual consideration. Being thoughtful in these moments shows you're still paying attention. It shows you still care about how your actions affect others. This kind of awareness is a subtle form of kindness. It signals that you are present, thoughtful, and considerate. People aren't looking for perfection. They just appreciate the effort, the small gestures of awareness that say, "I see you too." When you show that, you stand out, not as someone slower, but as someone considerate, someone who moves through the world with dignity and care. And that quiet presence is far more powerful than you might realize. Number 10. Making jokes that don't age well. A good sense of humor is one of the best things to carry into old age. It lightens the mood, puts others at ease, and can ease tension even during difficult moments. But not every joke stands the test of time. Some, especially the ones that once got easy laughs decades ago, can now quietly alienate people. You might find yourself joking the way you always have, with a bit of sarcasm. Every now and then, a teasing comment might slip out. Maybe something that plays on old stereotypes or lightly jokes about someone's background, appearance, or choices. You might even chuckle as you say it, adding, "I'm just joking," or "lighten up." But here's the reality. The world around you has shifted. Humor once often relied on highlighting differences, but today people, especially younger generations, are more sensitive to the impact of words. They are growing up in a culture that emphasizes inclusion, empathy, and respect for different experiences. When a joke seems out of touch with those values, it no longer feels playful. It can seem disconnected or even disrespectful. And chances are, they won't confront you about it. Instead, they'll offer a polite laugh and create distance. You'll sense something has changed, but may not immediately understand why. This doesn't mean you must tread carefully at all times, nor does it mean humor is off limits. It simply asks you to pause before leaning into certain kinds of jokes. Ask yourself, is this funny because it's witty, or because it's at someone else's expense? The most appreciated humor, especially as we age, is the kind that uplifts, that lightens the atmosphere without causing discomfort, and shows you're growing alongside everyone else. Nothing builds connection faster than being able to laugh at yourself. It signals humility, perspective, and a willingness to simply enjoy the moment with others. When people notice that, they feel more at ease. They begin to see you not just as an older figure, but as someone who truly understands. A warm, considerate sense of humor will take you far. A thoughtful, self-aware, and updated sense of humor will keep the door to genuine connection open at any stage of life. Number 11. Acting helpless when you're not. There's no denying that aging brings real challenges. Tasks that once seemed effortless may now require more time, caution, or assistance. However, there's a crucial difference between genuinely needing help and defaulting to it unnecessarily. And over time, that difference becomes quite visible. Maybe you've gotten used to saying, "Can you just handle it for me?" Or, "I don't understand how this works. I'll mess it up anyway." Initially, these requests seem harmless, but when they become frequent, especially for tasks you can still manage, they quietly start to wear on those around you. Family members might start to feel more like caretakers even when you're capable. Friends may notice that they're always the ones reaching, lifting, fixing, or organizing. Though they may smile and say, "It's no problem," beneath the surface, resentment can build. Often, this behavior isn't about laziness. It's about fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of feeling embarrassed, fear of being left behind. So, you let others step in, and with each small handoff, a bit more independence quietly slips away. The truth is, people admire effort far more than perfection. They would rather see you attempt and occasionally struggle than withdraw completely. Your family, friends, and neighbors feel a sense of pride when you stay engaged, show curiosity, and keep participating actively. When you ask for help only when it's genuinely needed, it builds trust. It shows that you're still strong and capable, and that your requests for help are sincere, not habitual. Maintaining your independence isn't about pretending to be young again. It's about embracing what you can do, acknowledging what you can't, and respecting the boundary between the two. You'd be amazed how empowered you feel when you start reclaiming the little victories. Carrying your own bag, navigating a new device, or following a recipe without needing someone to hover nearby. Each small success reinforces your confidence and reminds everyone around you that while aging may change some abilities, it doesn't erase your strength, your determination, or your dignity. The people who age well aren't the ones who never ask for help. They are the ones who know when to ask and when to proudly say, "I've got this." Number 12. Pretending you're always right. After a lifetime of experiences, decisions, and lessons, it's natural to feel like you've earned your voice. And often you have. But here's where things can get tricky. When the desire to be right becomes stronger than the desire to connect, people start tuning out. This can show up in small ways. Correcting someone's story, insisting your method is the only sensible one, rolling your eyes at new ideas, or dismissing someone's view with a quick, "Trust me, I know better." At first, others might brush it off. But after a while, being around someone who always has to be right becomes exhausting. Meaningful conversations start to fade. People withhold their thoughts, not because you change their minds, but because it's easier not to engage. The irony is, most older adults don't act this way out of arrogance. It's often about feeling secure, wanting to preserve a sense of authority in a fast-changing world. But when being right overshadows being kind or curious, it ends up isolating you. True wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing when to share your perspective and when to simply listen. It's about holding your opinions with quiet confidence, but staying open to others' experiences. Because the people we admire most aren't the ones who correct us. They're the ones who listen, reflect, and gently invite us to see things differently without forcing it. When you stop needing to win every debate, people start seeking your advice more often. Your feedback gains weight not because you dominate conversations, but because you offer insight with calmness and thoughtfulness. And when you do speak, because you don't speak just to win, your words land deeper. They resonate. They matter. Ultimately, the need to always be right will fade. What stays with people is how you made them feel, heard, respected, and valued. When you create space for others to be seen and uplifted, your presence becomes truly cherished. Now that we've explored these 12 behaviors, take a moment to reflect, gently, without self-criticism. Which habits have quietly crept into your daily life? Which ones surprised you? Which ones feel ready for a small shift? This video isn't about shaming or criticizing. It's about offering something rare, honest insight delivered with care. Because these behaviors don't make you a bad person. They are simply blind spots, habits that develop over time without us realizing it. The real strength lies in recognizing them, not in pretending they don't exist, but in saying, I see it. I can do better. I still have the power to grow. That's what aging gracefully truly means. Not clinging to the past or resisting change, but stepping into each new day with self-awareness, grace, and a quiet strength that fosters connection, evolution, and warmth. As you move forward, keep these lessons in mind, not as a rigid checklist, but as gentle reminders of how to show up in the world with dignity and presence. Remember, it's never too late to make small adjustments in how you speak, listen, dress, joke, and connect. Those small changes can completely transform how others experience you and how you experience yourself. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned and how you plan to use it in your own life. Your thoughts mean a great deal to us, and we truly appreciate hearing them. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.